How's it everyone? This is Lolcohol, and in today's video we're going to be going on with our campaign layout guide. If you missed part 1, that'll be linked in the description, but we are moving on to Act 2 here. So after slaying Geonor, we start Act 2 and we are in the Vastiri Outskirts. Now this area, the town is going to lean in one direction or the other. It'll either lean sort of to the left or the right, like a backslash or a forward slash. You're going to be exiting either to the south or the north, but rather focus on the direction in which it's leaning. So this one is leaning sort of to the left. So I'm going to come out of here and I'm just hugging this left wall. This area, what we are looking for is a fairly narrow canyon or quarry that will lead us to the boss. So just hug that wall and follow it until you find that narrow passage, and that should lead you straight to Wrathbreaker. So over here, this is either dead end or it is Wrathbreaker, but I can see it is opening up. So this is going to be Wrathbreaker, and we just follow this up until we find her. So here are these hyenas, we slay them, but generally what does work well is hugging that wall like I described. This area is either going to do like a U shape or it's going to go the other way, but hug the wall in the direction in which it leans and it will lead you to this boss. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to pop over to town. We speak to Zarka, enter the Ardira caravan, and the first thing we need to do is we need to go to the Halani Gates, which is going to be blocked off. Now, because I've already explored Act 2, you can actually skip Sekima Asala's dialogue. All you need to do is run close enough to her to trigger the exclamation mark over her head, and then you can run back to the caravan, and then that'll be enough to proceed. So from there, what we're going to do is we're going to head to the Mawdun Quarry. Now, the Mawdun Quarry is going to be it's either going to be a loop shape or an S shape or a Z shape. And we are going to be crossing these large bridges that are preceded by checkpoints. So there's I would say three large areas and then a checkpoint with a bridge separating them. So I'm just now trying to establish the direction in which this area is moving. At this point, I can see it's going up. So now I'm thinking, okay, it's probably going to be an S shape or a loop. So now I'm going up and I'm looking for that next bridge, hoping that it's going to be up here. A safer way to run this is just to run one of the edges and follow it. But if you have that S or loop shape in mind, you can actually possibly run it a little bit more quickly. So here I am, still trying to see where we're going, and yeah, this is going to be more of an S-shape layout. Sometimes you will find a bridge with a dead end. There'll be a checkpoint and everything, but it'll lead you to a chest or something like that. That's not really all that important currently. So continuing on, there should be a bridge just over here that leads us to the Mawdun Mine. So this one is certainly more of that sort of S shape that I was describing. We do know that there are some like seeds and different variations of layouts, but for the most part, it tends to be fairly static, and that layouts are just either mirrored or rotated in some way or another. But going into 0.2.0, we'll get a lot more information into this sort of thing. So you can see here, this is actually, it's more of a loop than an S shape. It seems to be doing more of an S. If it was an S, it might go like this and then up and back up. But this one looped all the way around. So for this, you can just select a wall, hug it, follow it, but you'll get a better grasp on this once you've run this area a couple of times. So moving on into the Mawdun Mine. Now this area has a very easy to read layout. We're going to be starting at the bottom and moving up to the top. So there's an initial section where you spawn in. It's either going to be at the bottom or a bit to the left or a bit to the right. But then there is the major area, which is sort of like a diamond. And the boss is going to be at the top, either right at the top or just off to the left or right of the top. This is the sort of area I wonder if in 0.2.0 we're going to see maybe it is just rotated to the right and we have the boss on the one side, but I suspect it should be pretty similar. Some of the tiles, like the boss arenas in these areas, seem to have a very distinct orientation that would make rotating these maps too much a little bit weird, but we will see. For now, the way I'm running this is just going up, 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 and here is the boss. So here we have that. I'm going to show you just that diamond pattern. If we go the other way, it'll go down and it'll loop back on itself. So just remember, go up to the top and you'll find the boss. It'll now go down this way in that diamond pattern that I described. So Mawdun Mine, go up to the top and you will find the boss. So after completing the Mawdun Mine, we're going to head over to Halani Gates, which is now open. This area, it is a big winding pathway, but there are some nice clues along the way to help guide us. So it's one large area with the exit on, in a rough way to describe it, on the opposite side. So I'm thinking I'm going the opposite direction from the entrance, and there are 2 points of interest that we are looking for. The first is going to be a big staircase, which is known as the Six Sisters. This, you will know you have found it because there's a big pop-up at the top of the screen that says Six Sisters. This isn't it. That's just a little small staircase, but we're just running, trying to find that. And when you have found that, aha. So this is the next major thing. This is actually a very interesting layout. So we haven't found Six Sisters yet, but we have found this. So this decree of imprisonment is a very, very important clue. When you see this, usually this is found at an intersection where you can either go left or right or maybe down. When you find that intersection, you'll see one direction, there are these paper seals on the wall, these yellow paper seals, and then the other direction, there won't be those paper seals. So in this area, we can fight Balbala to get the Jinn barrier to do our ascendancy. The direction of Balbala is always going to be along this pathway with these paper seals. So if we follow this route, we will find her. So there's both paper seals over here, paper seals over there, and then let's see, here's more paper seals. We can keep following that. Aha. You see, okay, so they go more this way. And here is Balbala. So there she is, if you want to fight her. Like I said, usually this is at an intersection where going the one way will lead you to Balbala and the other way will lead you to the Halani Gates. This case, it's a little bit different. So we're following up this way, and we should find the Six Sisters fairly soon. Here is our Six Sisters, right? So this is this big winding staircase. At the top, you can see it says Six Sisters. And this will spawn in a number of places, but it is an indication that you're going in the correct direction. So this can spawn actually as early as right after the checkpoint. If you get a very, very early checkpoint, we call that an early Six Sisters. When you get that, it usually means that Balbala will be immediately after it. You might not actually find the decree of imprisonment, but just after it to the left or right, you will find Balbala. But usually you have a split at the decree of imprisonment, and then you can continue on. But now we are looking for Halani Gates. And the exit is going to be around here. I feel like this is an area that could be studied. Maybe there's 8 to 12 different layouts, and you might get a better indication. Perhaps the more we run it, we'll learn some more environmental clues. But currently, the only clue we have is that those paper seals for Balbala, and then the Six Sisters letting you know that you are going generally in the right direction. And there's Halani Gates. So yeah, this area of course, I've never seen this layout when we're recording, but the thing that at least is consistent is the paper seals and the Six Sisters like I described. So We'll do more research on this area, but it's one to run through. At least you know the clue about the paper seals. Halani Gates, now this area also has a very set layout. So in this section, there are going to be 3 bridges that we need to cross and open. And from there are going to be little segments between these bridges that we need to pass through. So currently what we've seen in softcore and hardcore and SSF is that they have, the layout is the same, at least the methodology for getting through the area is the same, but the rotation of the area is identical. So if you were to superimpose the different layouts on top of each other, they would all line up if you rotated them. So here, I'm going to cross this bridge, I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to cross the bridge that way in the opposite direction, and I'm going to go down, and I'm going to cross the bridge this way and go down. So let me just demonstrate that. Should find the other bridge just here, going off to this way. Here we go. Here's that other bridge. So it's the kind of back and forth, back and forth. And in SSF, this one actually faces, we're going to be going up and to the right more, and hardcore we're going actually from the bottom, at least southeast, up to the northwest. So we'll go down, and then we're going to cross a bridge going the opposite direction. And then at the end of that, we'll have our first encounter with Jamunra. So like I described, it's that kind of back forth. And here we go to our checkpoint. We fight the boss, get to the other side. And this is the point where you now have a little bit of agency on which area you want to run next. So usually I'll go for Keth. I'll go Keth, Mastodon Badlands, Valley of the Titan in that order, but you can choose what you want. I'm going to go with Keth to start out. This is an area in which we need to find Kabala, the Constrictor Queen. Slaying her will grant us 2 weapon specialization skill points. And in this area, there's a couple of environmental clues, but I'm going to tell you probably the best way to run it. So from the entrance, this is a fairly foolproof method. From the entrance, we're just going to hug one of the walls and follow it down, and just keep going, keep following the wall down, looking for the exit. Now, usually, almost always, the exit is going to spawn on the opposite side of this. So if you imagine the area is sort of like a rectangle, the entrance is going to be, let's say it's on the top left, then it'll be on the bottom right. So we're going to head down this way, and we're probably going to hug this wall, and then it's going to go down until we find the exit. So what we're hoping, here we go. Here's our exit. So when we are running the outside edge, what we're hoping to find is Kabala, that Constrictor Queen. If we do not find her, we can take this checkpoint back to the start and then just go the other direction. So what it seems like is that the snake has about 4-ish spawn locations, which you can see on the screen now. And there are environmental clues to find her, but if we just run this outside edge, hopefully we do find her as we go along. Just be sure to check on the inside a little bit. And are we going to find her? All right. So this actually, I'm glad this happened. So we didn't find her in those 2 bottom locations. So now what we can do, we can run back here. And now we're going to check those 2 top locations. So let's see if she's either here or here. And I can tell you right away, this tile that I'm standing next to right now, this sort of head-shaped tile, you can see here's the ear, here's the ear. Kabala is going to spawn either to the left or the right of this specific tile. I can see actually already that she's on the left here. So if you see this head tile, this head-shaped tile, you know that this is Kabala is just to the left or right of it. I can also see from this little thing over here that Kabala will be there. So this area, just run the outside edge. If you don't find Kabala on the left or the right, then you can go check these two positions over here. And if you see this nice little head tile, then you know you have found her. So moving on from here, we're going to be heading to the Lost City. Now in the Lost City, this is a very big area, but if you break it down into two rectangular areas separated by a V-shaped bridge, it makes it a lot easier to run. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in this first rectangular area, and we're going to be checking the corners of this first rectangle. So we're running along here, and we're going to check one of these corners and hoping to find that V bridge that I described. So I don't think it's on this side. So if it's not on this side, what we're going to do is run to the other side of this rectangular section, and we will find it on the other side. So over here, here's our V-shaped bridge. There you go. And it has a checkpoint on it. So this is our first rectangle. I'll just show you. It's not exactly rectangular, but approximately. There is also a point of interest in this. It is a tomb that you can click and you'll get either a level 6 or a level 7 spirit gem, depending on the order in which you complete the areas in this zone. That can seemingly spawn on either the first or second rectangle. I'm pretty sure it's almost always on the first. I think it'll be over here. But if you're looking out for that, then check out the first area. So here's our V bridge. As I described, it's either going to be on this side or this side. And now from here, this is going to be our second rectangle. Now the exit to the boss room, here is this thing. This should have a spirit gem in it. Very interesting spawn, but not a hugely important point of interest unless you really need that spirit gem. But as I was saying, this is now our second rectangle, and we're going to find the boss on the far end of this second rectangle in one of three or four spawn points. So let's get to the opposite side, the far wall of this, and we're going to just look out for that tile to the next area, which is buried shrines. And it has a fairly distinctive pattern. This is the boss tile. I know this is the way. So it has this fairly distinctive wing-shaped pattern like this. So I don't know. I just picture this like a plane or a bird. So when you see this specific triangle wing-shaped pattern, you know, all right, I've found it. Don't worry about that guy. I think he drops a magic jewel. Nothing very important. So just remember this area. We've got rectangle, V-bridge, rectangle, and then the exit tile is going to spawn on the far end of the second rectangle. Now moving on to buried shrines. Now buried shrines actually has a similar-ish layout to the previous area, where we're going to think of it as two rectangles separated by a pair of bridges. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to try and find those pairs of bridges. So I'm establishing the angle that this area is laid out. And I'm pretty sure that our rectangle is going, let me just think, it's going that way. So this area is going to open up in the direction that I'm running right now, which means that I think the bridge is going to be up this way. So I'm just hugging this top wall, and we're going to be looking out for that bridge over here. I might be mistaken, and it might actually cross this way, but what really matters is, more than anything, is the direction in which we cross that bridge. So, we have our bridges going down. So here is the first of our bridges. I know that I'm crossing this bridge from north to south, which means that the boss room is going to be facing in an easterly direction. So I'm going to keep hugging this wall that I'm on and just keep going this way, and we will find the boss tile just over here. The boss tile also has this very distinct pattern over here. So here's Heart of Keth, like this. The main thing is that this boss tile sort of looks like a crown. Sometimes before this tile, you'll find this specific shape that you see here. Sometimes you'll find just a long, narrow passage. I actually want to just demonstrate the other variation of this map where we're going to be crossing the bridge from south to north. Now, this is the second variation of the layout where we're going to be crossing the major bridges that I was describing from a southerly direction to a northerly direction. So you can see here we're going from the bottom up to the top. And in this case, we're going to be going to the east, looking for that boss tile. So the boss tile seems to currently always spawn facing that direction, but knowing if you are crossing this bridge from north to south or south to north will help inform you direction. So here you can see we have the boss tile yet again this way. So here we're going to slay this boss, and from here we can head over to Mastodon Badlands. Let's go there for now. So for Mastodon Badlands, this area is a bit nebulous. It's hard to read. It's just like a giant blob. But what I have found works fairly well is if you hug the wall that is opposite the waypoint. So just hug that wall and follow it until you find the way through to the next area. So just following this wall. This is an area that is fairly good for XP, but there are some rippy mobs here. This over here is an effigy. If you click this, you can get an uncut support gem. But heading over, just following this outside wall and just hugging it until we find our way to the bone pits. This is a fairly foolproof method. It's not necessarily the fastest way, but it will get you to the bone pits much more quickly than getting lost in the middle, because the exit's never going to spawn in the middle. So moving on to bone pits. For the bone pits, it has a similar just blob shaped layout, but for this area, we're going to be passing through this arch or these tusks at a specific angle. The boss room is going to spawn fairly in line with the angle that we pass through that. So I'm coming out, going from south to north, and I'm just going to keep running in that direction. And the boss room will spawn generally in that direction. So I'm just thinking going north to south in this case. And there will be twists and turns. It's not going to be 100% exactly in line, but it's approximately in line. You'll see when we do find it. It might be down this way, but let's see. And there we go. So, like I said, it's approximately in a straight line, not 100%. But the point I'm trying to make is, I know it's in a vague, you can imagine like a little cone coming out from here, and it's usually in line. So instead of going all the way right and around this way and then looping at the bottom and coming around, I thought, let me just go back the other way and check. And here we have the boss. So after Bone Pits, we're moving on to Valley of the Titan. For this area, coming straight out from the entrance area, we're going to find the way to the Titan Grotto. But we first have to open a whole lot of ancient seals first. There are 3 ancient seals that we need to open. But first thing I want to do is just find this. So the moment your camera starts zooming out like that, you can see there it zooms out. That means you know that you've found the Titan Grotto entrance. So we grab this checkpoint, and now from here, this area is laid out, I guess, like a square, but it has a fairly large gorge or canyon in the middle. So what I'm going to do to start out is I'm running this outside edge, and more often than not, you're going to find 3 ancient seals along the outside edge. Sometimes, though, you'll only find 2 ancient seals on the outside edge. In that case, what you want to do afterwards is to run the inside edge of the gorge that I described, or like this middling area, and then you will find the 3rd ancient seal. There's also a medallion quest that we need to do in this that gives you a permanent buff that you're able to choose. This will be that. You'll find it by this waypoint, and up here is the medallion offering to Amrit, but we're going to keep going this way, and we're going to look for those seals. So following the outside edge, looking for the 3 seals. I'm actually hoping we get one where there is one on the inside edge. This is actually not a gorge. It's actually like a mountain. So we keep following. And there should be actually one just over here. Yeah. Here's the other one. Grab that. And then we're going to see, I think the last one's actually up here. But as you can see, we've run this outside edge. We've only found 2. So now what we want to do is we want to just check the outside of this gorge over here and see if we find that third one, which is, I think, just over here. There we go. And from here, we're going to head over to Titan Grotto. So this opens up. Now for the Titan's Grotto, this area is very big and winding. But again, if you break it down and think of it as a rectangle, then what we first need to do is we need to establish the direction in which our rectangle is moving, and then go to the opposite side of that rectangle. So it would appear that this rectangle is facing northeast and going in that direction. So I'm going to run to the other side of this rectangle and then check the topmost edge of it to try and find the boss. So just keep on going up in that same direction. Up, 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 up. And there will be twists and turns along the way, but having that point of reference of just going up, that really helps with getting through this area a little bit more quickly. And there we go. So it was on the far edge of the corner. So you can see, imagine this like a rectangle-ish, and it spawned on one of the edges of the far side of this rectangle. For this boss, you know what? I'm going to throw in a pro tip, a boss pro tip. For this boss, if you stand at a sort of 12 o'clock position, like where I'm standing now, and fight him from here, a lot of his attacks are going to miss you. Oh wait, let's hold on. He's frozen. See, like that misses me. And now he has his second phase. So after his second phase, after his first phase, he's going to move to his second phase. And what we want to do for this is we are going to move to a more 2 or 3 o'clock position and fight him from here. So I'll just stand to show you that a lot of his attacks just miss. You see, like that one doesn't even hit me. That one, it actually did hit me a little bit, but not for a whole lot. So there you go, boss pro tip. Now Deshar, this is a fairly, again, rectangular layout, and we want to establish the direction in which this area opens up. So let's just see, which way is our rectangle facing? And I can see already it is facing down and to the left direction, so a sort of southeasterly direction. I'm just going to explore this to show you something that I need to describe. But this area has 2 segments. So there's this first segment where there's these ruined buildings, and it's a bit more, I won't say like claustrophobic, but this is our first area over here. All right, so think of this as our first square. After this, there's going to be a connecting section, and then there's going to be the second area. And in that second area, there's going to be a whole lot of buildings. So you can see, here's our first rectangle, and then here is the pathway leading to the second half of the area, where we're going to find a whole lot of buildings. So in this area, first area, just run straight, find this connecting thing, and then there's all these buildings, right? These, what are they? Pentagons, octagons. Now, there are several of these buildings, and there is a quest that we need to complete in this area. And that quest is to find the body of a fallen Dakara warrior. That body of that warrior is going to spawn at the base of one of these buildings. So we're going to be continuing in this direction because we're going to find the exit in this direction, just following that same direction. But every time we find a building, just run around the outside edge of it to see if you can find the body of the fallen Dakara. So we're just keeping on going. I have completed this quest because this is a high level character. So I'm not going to be able to find the body to demonstrate, but you will find the body at the base of one of these buildings. And then once you have found that, we're just continuing in that same direction, just heading down in the same direction from the entrance, and we will find the way to Path of Mourning. It's going to be right over here. So this little thingy over here is usually a bit of a clue, and then it opens up and we have the Path of Mourning. So you can see it has this first section over here that I was describing, where it goes straight, and then we have the second section with all the buildings, and then we've got the exit, which is in line with the far side of the rectangle that is the second section. And then we move into Path of Mourning. There is, I think we might actually have one of the layouts that I do know, but this area does have some very odd layouts that are a bit hard to read. Generally, I would just say try and head to the other side of the area to find the exit. However, in this case, I believe we have found what I've dubbed the 333 layout, which is going to be this. So if you do get this layout, and I know it's this layout because of the pathing, there's this long straight thing, and then there's going to be a building, and it's called the 333 layout because it's going to be building, building, building. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go up and to the right, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go down and to the right, 1, 2, 3, up and to the right. Let's just see if we got it. I'm pretty sure this is that. Yep, so 1, 2, 3, and then up and to the right, 1, 2, and then 3, and then down and to the right, and then we're going to go across. So 1, 2, and then 3, and then up and to the right will be the exit for this area, like this. So this is one of the few set layouts that we do know that I've stumbled upon. So the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm kind of glad we got this. If you don't get this layout,
good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Like I said, it's just try and get to the other side of the area. Sometimes there's going to be a few twists and turns along the way, but this one layout, if you do recognize it, you can get through this area much more quickly. Now we're moving on to Spires of Deshar. The boss is going to be directly opposite on the far end of this. So we're spawning in from here, and the boss will be probably about here once we've completed the area. However, there is a point of interest in this area, which is Sisters of Garukhan. This is a monument that you click for +10 lightning resistance, and there is a clue to figuring out how to see it. So thanks to Fire, she pointed out that the Sisters of Garukhan tile, it can only be accessed from the bottom and from the right. So if you see a tile that doesn't connect in that way, then you know that it is not Sisters of Garukhan. So this doesn't have a connection to the bottom or the right, so we know that's not Sisters of Garukhan. But let's see if we can figure out where it could be. So let's see. It also, another clue for Sisters of Garukhan, it has 4 other platforms surrounding it, and that can make it a bit easier to find. So let's see. This I don't think will be it because it's not connected, but let's find it. It won't be down here because we know that it doesn't have a connection from the top, only the bottom and the right. So that won't be Sisters of Garukhan. This, it won't be there. Okay. Here we go. So Sisters of Garukhan is here. So like I described, it's got an entrance going from the bottom to the top, going like south to north, and then an exit from the left to the right, like this. And then it doesn't have an entrance at the top, and it is also surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4 other platforms like this. So that is one clue. Let me just give you one pro tip. If you find this, don't click it immediately because it'll spawn a whole lot of these little bird monsters that deal a lot of lightning damage. So it is kind of spooky. You'll see suddenly now all the platforms are covered in these kinaras that make running this area a lot more unpleasant. But let's now go back and try and find the boss. So the boss, I'm guessing, like I said, is going to be in a straight line from the entrance. So it should be down and then just to the right here. Or maybe a little bit up and down this way and to the right. So going down, and here we go. There's our boss. As you can see, in a pretty straight line from the entrance. So straight line, and here we have Torgal, the Defiler. Now, once we have defeated Torgal, we are heading over to the Dreadnought and the Dreadnought Vanguard. Now, the Dreadnought and the Dreadnought Vanguard, because these are caravans, they can't really go off in too many weird directions. So for this, we're facing this direction that you can see, and we're just going to keep going in that direction. So for this area, just use that as a point of reference. Just keep going in that direction that you are facing. So there is a maybe more efficient way to get through this, where you know that it's more of like an in, out, in, out, in, out layout. So we're first going like this, and then we're going in and then out, and then we're going to go straight a bit, and then we're going to turn right like this across this checkpoint, and then there should be a long straight stretch like this, fairly long straight stretch, and then it's going to go to the left, and that will actually, we must still go up a bit more before we turn to the left. So here's that long straight stretch, obviously with twists and turns along the way, and then it's going to turn to the left, and we're going to find the Dreadnought Vanguard over here. So it's an area pretty hard to get lost in. Just take your time with it. It is a pretty rippy area with a lot of scary monsters. So if you just take the tortoise approach, slow and steady wins the race, get through this area, but it is one that you could study. Currently, there is a bit of a trick in this area where you can respawn at checkpoint repeatedly, and there are 2 guaranteed magic packs that spawn just here. So you can farm some XP before you move on to the Dreadnought Vanguard if you want to, by just repeatedly respawning at checkpoint. Then after that, we have the final area of Act 2, which is going to be the Dreadnought Vanguard, which is going to follow a pretty similar layout. But just the general thinking is just continuing in this direction and then crossing this initial bridge. It's going to follow a fairly similar in-out pattern. So we're going there. This area, if you have Leap Slam, you can Leap Slam through half of it pretty quickly. But similar, very similar to the Dreadnought. And at the end, we're going to find Jamanra. Yeah, so here's Jamanra, and there we have it. That is the end of Act 2. This guide will be up on Mobalytics. All the images you've seen throughout the video and everything else, all the written versions of what I've described, if you prefer that, that is all up on Mobalytics. It'll be linked in the description. There's also a part for part 1, and I will be releasing part 3 for Act 3 tomorrow. So if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the guide over on Mobalytics, and stay tuned for part 3 coming tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe. Catch you in the next video, and bye-bye. Damn, that one was long. All right, bye.